Alrighty, folks, coming at you guys today with a quick top 5 fundamentally strong or game-changing augments that I have seen from the test server. I don't get to play on this test server, obviously, because I am on console, but a lot of people have been putting out videos talking about all the augments, and I looked through all of them. This footage in the background here is from the dev stream. I'm going to play this at the end. If you're not familiar with the new augment system that we're getting, skip to the timestamp below, or I'll put the timestamp on the screen here as well. You can check. It's going to put it at the end of the video because I know a lot of people are already familiar with the augments that we're getting, which is really exciting. But I want to talk about today 5 fundamentally strong or game-changing augments that we're getting. What do I mean by fundamentally strong? I mean that these augments are strong regardless of the numbers that are associated with them. These are game-changing augments, regardless of if they buff them or nerf them from the numbers that we saw in the test server, because I know they tested these. Some of them probably came out too strong, some of them maybe came out too weak. So I don't want to do augments or talk about strong augments. We haven't even got them in the game yet, and some of these are going to get changed. You know, if you give 20% more damage dealt and 20% less damage taken to any hero, it's going to be a strong augment. But I want to talk about ones that specifically are going to be strong regardless of if they buff or nerf them. Just the idea of the augment itself is strong or game-changing. So if you're not familiar with the augments, skip to the end, check out that. It's a clip from the dev stream, and then come on back here and check out the list. Timestamps below. Let's get right into it. I pulled these pictures or these images of these augments from a YouTuber. I think it's Rancher, I don't know if he pronounces it Rancherito or Rancher One Toe, but I'll put that screenshot here on the screen so you can check out that video, and I'll link it below as well if you want to see all the augments in a really time-efficient manner. Let's get right into it and talk about the augments. I want to talk about these augments. Look crazy, and we're much anticipating the 1.6 patch notes where we finally get to see the numbers associated with them. But in the time being, let's go over some really strong augments, or some of my favorite augments that I've been seeing so far. So coming in at, prior to our top 5 list, our honorable mentions, I want to talk about Belica and Zarus. So Belica and Zarus are receiving an augment that's basically a passive that gives them scaling. Belica getting a passive gain of experience. In the test server it said 0.1 to 4 experience every second, dependent on or increasing with hero level. That is pretty strong, just getting free XP for existing in the game. Kind of hard to tell what kind of impact that's going to be, because it is going to be reliant on what numbers are associated with that. But if you're able to take this augment and just out-level your opponent mid laner or support for free, that is quite nice, very valuable in support where XP is going to be a higher commodity. Interesting to see what numbers are associated with that one, but fundamentally a strong scaling passive. And then second, similar to that one, talk about Zarus, who is receiving a health and physical power scaling as the game goes, which is pretty crazy. In the test server here, they had it as 12 health and 1.5 physical power every minute. Again, this is dependent on what numbers they actually tie to this when it reaches in-game state, because if this is an amount of health and power that is equivalent at the end of the game to an extra free full item, then that's quite strong. But if it's just a minimal amount of health and power, then it's not really that big of a deal. So 2 honorable mentions for you guys on scaling passives that just get you free XP in the case of Belica, or health and power in the case of Zarus as the game goes. Incentivizes you to force longer games, play safely, and just let your passive scale you up. In the Belica's case, hitting those level ups faster could be a huge impact in the game towards the mid to late game. So really like both of those honorable mentions, because these are not super fundamentally impactful, but I do like them a lot. I like the idea of them. We just have to see how the numbers pan out on them. So that's our honorable mention. Let's jump right in here to number 5. Number 5 fundamentally strong aug I want to talk about is Grim.exe. One of his augments is instant reload, which is labeled as multi-kill, and as it should be. This is basically an ult resetting augment, similar to what Feng Mao gets. Reading it here from the test server, it says, killing an enemy hero with GTFO allows it to be recast for 8 seconds. So same thing as Feng Mao, if you get a kill, you can fire it again. This is a pretty crazy augment because it is a lock-on and it has range. That is what makes Feng Mao's ult resetting like difficult to use. Is it's a small hitbox, or smaller than it used to be, and you've got to hit people with it at close range. In this scenario with Grim, I can for sure foresee team fights breaking down, enemies escaping, and being at range, and you just lock one of them, fire it, boom, gets the kill. Another one's low, lock them, fire it, boom, get the kill, and just keep resetting, chaining this Grim ult into multiple enemies. Sounds absolutely crazy. His other augments are okay, but this one is a definite gonna be a favorite because that is a crazy idea to be able to reset Grim's ult. Worst case scenario, you fire it and you kill one person and you get to fire it again and damage someone else. Best case scenario, you can get 3-4 kills resetting with this if multiple enemies are low after escaping a team fight. So really like this Grim ult. My number 5 fundamentally strong augment that we're seeing pre 1.6 patch notes. We'll see how that pans out in game, but it sounds crazy to me. Coming in at number 4 here, I want to talk about, this one's kind of a biased one, but Khaimera. Khaimera, long time, has been a complete joke at anywhere other than jungle. If you see a Khaimera picked in solo lane, it's a free win in solo lane because his passive does not stack on lane minions, which means the only way he can keep his health up in lane is if he's constantly fighting you, and that's going to be a tough ask in the early game for Khaimera. But with this augment, Minion Regeneration, it's labeled as an offlane augment, which is probably how it should be used. Spirit Regeneration also grants health regen against minions. So now you can stack up Khaimera's incredibly strong passive against lane minions. If you check out my King of Healing spreadsheet, you can see that that passive regeneration that he stacks up from his passive is absolutely insane. It is by far the best healing, best self-healing in the game. So seeing this being able to apply to lane minions is going to make Khaimera solo lane viable because it's going to be hard to deal more damage to him than he can heal off of just lane minions. Also, I could foresee him being viable in support, you know, constantly poking the enemy duo and then regenning off of the minions as long as you're not last hitting the minions could be very valuable. Interesting plays, especially in support. You could transition into a second jungler in the mid game or get off jungle invades very efficiently onto the enemy team's jungle side. So Khaimera, kind of a biased one because I'm such a fan of Khaimera right now, and his healing is super crazy, but Minion Regeneration sounds like a fundamentally strong augment. And there's no numbers associated with this one, so this is what it is. It is fundamentally strong regardless of buffs or nerfs. We'll see how it pans out in game, but I'm definitely looking forward to trying out solo lane Khaimera and support Khaimera for that matter. My number 4 spot. My number 3 spot here, this is an interesting one. I don't know if a lot of people were overlooking this, but I haven't seen a lot of people talking about this. It is Dekker. Her passive is the double jump, which has long been like a cool, nice passive to have. There's a couple heroes that have it, like Skylar has a bigger jump. Kalari obviously has multiple jumps. But the Dekker Moon Boots, well, built-in Moon Boots jump is pretty cool. This augment called Momentum Boost Mobility seems quite strong. Rocket Boots also grant yourself and nearby allies 29% decaying movement speed over duration number of seconds. So we don't know, like I said, if this is going to be, what percentage this is going to be and over how many seconds this is going to be, because that is subject to change when the live patch hits. But the idea that you can use just her passive as an ally and self move speed boost on demand, it's not on a very long cooldown either, so you're going to be able to get this pretty frequently, and it's not going to cost you any mana to do it. So going to be a very unique ability to buff yourself and teammates with move speed, and it's nearby allies. It's not just one ally, so you could do this in a team fight similar to a Narbash, and that sounds really crazy. That is a just fundamentally strong augment to have a self and ally move speed boost, not tied to a mana cost, just a passive cooldown. I definitely foresee this being a strong augment on Dekker. We'll see what numbers as far as the percent movement speed and the duration that they add to this, but regardless, this seems really fundamentally strong. Big fan of this. Gonna have to give Dekker some more looks after this patch and try this out. We'll see in the patch notes what these numbers come out to, but That's my number 3 spot for a fundamentally strong augment. A really crazy one right there. We haven't seen anything like that before in Pred. A free, no mana cost ally move speed boost is crazy. Coming in at my number 2 spot, this one is a crazy one too. Revenant, folks. He said, this is wild. I'll just read it here. Spectral bounty, labeled as dueling. The whole point of him is dueling when you get people isolated in the ult. While in the Netherrealm, steal 6% of the target's physical and magical power. So automatically when you go into those 1v1s, you're already in an advantage. You're at a 6%, well, I guess it's a 12% swing because you're stealing 6% of their power, and now you have that power. And then if you kill them in the Netherrealm, I call it the Shadow Realm, gain 50% of it permanently. So this is crazy. This could be a significant amount. We'll have to see if the 6% sticks and if the 50% sticks as far as when it reaches live patch. But ulting someone, killing them in their ult, and then gaining permanent physical and magical power for that based off of how much they had is crazy. I mean, whether this is built power or whether this is total power is also going to be a factor, because heroes generally have a lot more physical power just from leveling up versus getting no magical power from leveling up. But either way, you're talking about a scenario where you could steal 15, 20, 30 power from an enemy hero and then permanently gain half of that if you're able to get the kill on them in the ult. That seems crazy. That's going to let Rev scale up super fast and super hard into the late game. Just a fundamentally crazy idea. We've seen stealing power before, like on Gruck's ult, where he steals power, but it's only ever temporary. Gaining it permanently, or at least gaining 50% of it permanently, sounds absolutely absurd, and I can see Rev scaling out of control if you're able to get a couple kills in his ult early and just snowball out. Just crazy. So my number 2 pick for a fundamentally strong augment coming up in 1.6. And last, definitely not least, because this is the most OP one I saw out of any of the patches, out of any of the augment breakdowns, Murdock. Let me read this and tell me that this isn't broken overpowered. Justice's reach, increased range, shots fired now pierces units, and has plus 300 additional range. That, of course, is subject to change, but even if this is 150 additional range, having one carry that has more range than all the other carries and his shots pierce, you're talking about incredibly fast lane clear. You're talking about the ability to outspace your opponent, carry, and just deal damage to them when they can't deal damage to you. This is an absurd augment. I don't see any world where this is remotely balanced. I mean, tell me, is there a world where where one carry could have this big of an advantage on all the other carries just passively with his auto attacks and it be remotely balanced? This sounds crazy. If you're good with spacing on Murdock, which he's already got good spacing tools with a shotgun knockback, a root mine, and a speed up, this is absurd. This is a fundamentally just broken sounding augment right off the bat. I don't even know if you can adjust the numbers around to make this balanced, because even if it's only 100 additional range, it's still like, if you're good enough at spacing, you can take advantage of that. So an absurd augment in a long list of absurd augments that we're getting in 1.6 coming June 10th. We're highly anticipating the patch notes. I'll do a patch notes video on them when they come out, but geez, man, let me know in the comments, is there any way that this is balanced? Like, this sounds ridiculous. So that is my top 5 crazy, fundamentally strong, or game-changing augments that I've got for you guys today. At the end of this video, I'll go ahead and leave up the dev stream here where they first revealed augments. If you're not familiar with augments, this is what it looks like, or this is how they introduced it, so you can get a hold on it. When the patch notes come out, we'll talk about some of the augments more. We'll probably do a full augment video on those patch notes when they have all the true to live game numbers associated with them, and we can talk about which ones are strong or weak, and we'll go through all of them, and it'll take much longer. But here's a quick one for you guys to get a heads up of some of the ones I've been looking at and getting excited for. So we'll catch you on the next one. Check out this dev stream clip if you haven't seen it already. Come out, hang out with us in the live streams. We've been having a lot of fun. Thank you to all the recent subscribers. Channel's been doing great. We've been having a ton of fun running some more ranked games in the last couple of days too on the live stream. So excited for 1.6. We'll get to run more bigger queues in the ranked, probably run more ranked games in general. man, this is going to be a crazy patch. We'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for stopping by, and keep enjoying Pred, folks. Just keep enjoying Pred.
Two systems. You've got your primary system, your heroes, whoever you're picking, whatever role you're going into, you got to select somebody. But then when you get into the game, you work with a secondary system. You buy yourself some items, you get that gold, spend it, make that progression in the game itself. But what if I told you there could be another system on top of that? A third system, a tertiary system, you might even say. And that, my friends, is you getting to play your hero your way and unleash the power of Augments. Yeah.
That was great. That was great. That was incredible, actually.
Love to see it.
I feel like I could not have done that any better. Actually, I probably would have been way worse. So, hello everyone, and welcome, Hero Augments, to Predecessor.
Yeah.
Lermy, let's take us through a little bit more. This is so exciting. How does this affect everything?
Yeah, so when we were talking about ways to improve the general gameplay of Predecessor, we wanted to have more customization, more replayability, and really we believed an additional system that allows you to pick between certain different effects or trading off of different effects, even in some situations, gives you so much more potential to play whatever character you want to play your way, like we mentioned before. So what you'll see is that we have 3 different augments that you can select in every game. One of them is going to be character specific, in which you get a choice of 3 unique augments for every single hero in the game. Which is, it's crazy. We're releasing with one set of 3 rather, for every single hero in the game. So again, you're gonna get a crazy amount of choice here just loading into your first game on patch 1.6, which is so exciting.
Okay.
Beyond that though,
Yes.
yeah, let's also talk about our common perks. These perks are going to be available for every single hero. They're shared amongst you, and they're kind of more minor effects, right? They're changing up your playstyle in smaller ways here or there. And then you've also got ones that give you a couple bonuses depending on how you want to play, but overall, smaller effects. And you'll see kind of a wide range of the kind of scale. Some of them are crazy cool, like we saw the Tiny Titan one for Rampage, where when you ult as Rampage, you become smaller. That one's really sick. Others are a little bit more simple. We wanted to give a wide variety of choice for players. If you want to kind of take it easy for a game, pick an easier augment, by all means, take it. But you could also get really crazy as well. And in certain circumstances, go nuts with those augment selections.
Yes. Yes. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I got to play with a bunch of them recently because I was filming stuff for this. They're all awesome. They're so awesome. And